There's something I've noticed, especially online, when people talk about Adventist music. Oftentimes it becomes negative, especially when people say, have you seen what this group is singing? Have you heard how this church worships? Have you seen how they're dressed? Or be like, "Hey, why are they using these instruments?" And slowly, without realizing it, we started building a culture where criticism travels faster than celebration. Now, don't get me wrong. These are genuine concerns that need to be addressed. Concerns about worship, reverence, music philosophy, and preserving our identity as Seventh-day Adventists. And these discussions actually matter. But at some point, I began asking myself something more important, I guess. I asked myself, who is telling the good stories? Who is preserving the beautiful memories? And who is documenting the groups, the choirs, the quartets, the hymn arrangements, the young musicians who devote themselves to the ministry in churches, the local church choirs, who may never trend online, but they are using their gifts to God's glory. Now, that questioning is one of the reasons why this channel was born, not to attack, not to follow the trend, not to discuss controversial issues necessarily, but to highlight the good stories of Adventist musicians and to celebrate Adventist musicians and Adventist music, study our heritage across the world. So, just before I get into the main reasons, I want to tell you a bit more about myself. So, I grew up in Ghana in the early 90s. My mother joined a quartet, and like many African mothers at the time, she carried me on her back to rehearsals. I think I absorbed all that music at the time, and that's what has shaped my love for Adventist music till date. So on this channel, we want to preserve Adventist story because some younger Adventists have never even heard of groups like the King's Heralds, the Heritage Singers, the Ambassadors of Christ Choir, and so they find themselves listening to every other thing but sacred Adventist music. And that's dangerous because when a generation loses its stories, it slowly loses its identity. Again, our goal is to introduce audiences to Adventist music that they may never have discovered. There are incredible groups in Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, the USA, United Kingdom, the Philippines, Romania, all over the world where there's an Adventist church. And many Adventists only know the music from probably their local environment. But Adventist music is global, and one of the beautiful things about this channel is to introduce people to groups they probably have never heard of. So helping someone discover a new choir, a new hymn arrangement, a new quartet is something that we are passionate about. Again, we want to also create positivity without ignoring truth. And this part is very important because we believe that outrage should not become our ministry. And every time we hear Adventist music, it shouldn't be about controversies alone. All our conversations should not be about attacking Adventist musicians or Adventist music, because music is emotional. We understand that people become attached to particular groups, particular styles, voices, or traditions. So this channel wants to lower the unnecessary hostility while still encouraging thoughtful conversations about Adventist music. I remember recently sitting in a car with a friend, and he was playing secular music. I'm sure he probably noticed I wasn't enjoying it, and so he asked, "Eric, what sort of music do you listen to?" And I said, "Oh, I listen to choral, a cappella, and the likes." And he's like, "Oh, I also listen to gospel music, so can you play one of those songs? I want to hear them." So I remember taking his phone and I played one song from King's Heralds. I think it was "The Lord Is Coming, Are You Ready?" I played that song in his car, and he quietly listened to the song, took a few seconds, and was like, "Eric, is this the kind of music you listen to?" I'm like, "Yes." He said, You are weird." Honestly, he wasn't trying to insult me. I think it just sounded foreign to him because the world has changed and people are becoming less and less familiar with sacred music. But in that moment, I realized something. There are still people like me, people who genuinely love sacred music, people who still love hymnody, choral music, quartets, a cappella, and sacred harmony. And maybe they feel alone sometimes. This channel is for those people too. And so this channel is for the Adventist musician, the choir member, the bass singer, the pianist, the hymn lover, the young person trying to understand Adventist music heritage, and The older member afraid if our music culture is disappearing. There's a quote that says, there seems to be so much evil in this world because nobody talks about the good. Maybe that's what we are trying to do here, to talk about the good. Welcome to the community.